Tell me, do you need 30 more minutes of Batman v Superman? You will. What up, big hits? Here's my big review of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Cut on Blu-ray DVD combo pack. Thank you to Warner Home Video for sending me out this review. Now, I saw this movie way back in March. I love this movie. I gave it a 5 out of 5. But what makes the Ultimate Cut so different from the theatrical cut? You get 30 minutes of extra footage. There's a whole bunch of added scenes in here. Let me talk about what the added scenes. So, spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen Batman v Superman. There's so many little scenes and lines that they added, but let me talk about the main things that make it worthwhile. The Ultimate Edition is rated R because of sequences of violence. It's really just some added blood effects. There's a few more seconds of Martha being killed that wasn't shown in the theatrical cut. One big scene that they cut that confirms that Superman's bestie, Jimmy Olsen, is indeed that guy that gets killed in the beginning of the movie. He introduces himself to Lois Lane, and there's a few more scenes of him as he's about to be killed. There's a whole long sequence with American invaders. They call it in after Jimmy is killed. There's a really violent sequence when KGB shoots up all that African generals, man. You do see all the blood effects. After they dispose of all the men, they set them ablaze with a flamethrower just to make them look like that Superman used his heat vision to kill the man to frame him. So it really adds in a bit more explaining how they're trying to frame Superman, because why would they frame Superman if these men were killed with bullets? Also, there's a scene with a drone that's about to take out that whole village where Lois Lane is, but Superman stops it in time to save Lois Lane. A really cool action sequence that they could have kept in the film. If you're hoping that this being rated R, you would get to see Clark and Lois getting it on in the tub. You do see a little bit longer of Lois's hands and Clark's naked back. Oh yeah, super back. Speaking of naked superheroes, you get to see the Bat Butt. Yes, you get to see Bruce Wayne's naked butt side in the shower. Yay! There's a whole bunch of scenes with Lex Luthor that were cut, including what the Lex and the Lex Corp meant and like how they came up with it. Also a scene with Senator Finch explaining that he wishes that he could bring his dad back, which just gives a little more context to his crazy ways. If you're wondering why there wasn't enough Superman or where all his lines were, they cut most of his lines. There's a scene where Clark Kent heads to Gotham City and he's trying to figure out what's going on with this Bat vigilante. He interviews a man that gives him a little lottery card that has the Bat symbol, explaining that things are pretty bad when you get the Bat brand on him. Also a really nice tender scene with Clark calling his Martha, and having a little conversation with Ma Kent. If you're wondering what happened to Jenna Malone's character, who she was, well, she's not a big deal. Jenna Malone plays Jeanette Clyburn. She's a lab technician at Star Labs, and she helps Lois with explaining what happened with the bullet. Also, she explains the reason why Superman couldn't figure out that the wheelchair had a bomb in it. It's because it's lined with lead, which is a great nod to Superman's mythos that he can't see through lead. There's also a scene where the guy that got the Bat brand in the beginning of the film, that he's shown in prison. Lex Luthor pays someone to shank him in prison, and it's a pretty violent scene. Also, if you want to know reasons for this to be rated R, they say the F word. What? A really cool cameo I wish that they included is that they have Jon Stewart. No, not the Green Lantern Jon Stewart. The Daily Show Jon Stewart, which he makes a great little joke about Superman's S symbol. Most of the action that was in the theatrical cut is still in the Ultimate Cut. There is some extended parts in the Nightmare Batman sequence, as well as the actual fight with Batman and Superman, but just like a few seconds longer. There's also another scene of Clark Kent that got cut of him interviewing the wife of the prisoner who got killed in prison. Also, do you remember the woman that testified in the Senate talking about that Superman answers to no one, not even to God? Well, she has a whole subplot that gets cut from the movie. It turns out she was paid by Lex Luthor to lie to the Senate, and then she ends up getting killed by KGBs in the subway train. There's also a great scene I wish they kept, that Superman is helping people that have survived the Senate bombing, and he's looking around and he looks very sad, but he helps them out for a bit before he flies off. Also, if you love more Alfred, there's a scene of him chopping wood and finding out that Bruce Wayne went out to steal the kryptonite after he finds the return disability checks that were sent back to him. Speaking of which, you do get a little glimpse of Batman attacking the Lex Corp building to get the kryptonite footage from the security cameras. We get that scene that was released online after the movie came out of Steppenwolf Wolf teaching Lex Luthor about the mother boxes. So weird it was in the original cut, but it's cool to see it in the Ultimate Cut. We get a longer sequence of the morning of Superman's death. We see that Metropolis is at a standstill. There's no one at work mourning Superman at his funeral, as well as Clark Kent. We also see Perry and Jenny at Clark Kent's funeral, as well as Pete Ross, who's currently the manager at IHOP. That sounds good. But the last bit that I really wish that they kept in, it was just a few seconds, they should have kept it in, is that Batman, after he interrogates Lex Luthor, tells him that he's going to transfer him to Arkham Asylum, which is so awesome. I really wish they kept it in. A lot of extended lines and sequences, a lot more Clark Kent, some more of Ma Kent, some Perry, more Lois. So that's what you're getting in the Ultimate Cut. This movie looks beautiful on Blu-ray. We also have this on 4K, and you also get the digital copy with this. On the second disc, you get the theatrical cut, and you also get all the special bonus features. We get 2 hours of special features. The first one is Uniting the World's Finest. It's a behind-the-scenes look of the DC Cinematic Universe, talking about bringing Batman and Superman for the first time, as well as Wonder Woman, talking about the Wonder Woman movie, as well as getting Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg in the mix, as well as all the actors that are involved. You get a little bit of Suicide Squad that's coming out this August, and we get to hear from everyone from Zack Snyder, Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, everyone talking about how they're excited for Justice League and bringing this whole DC universe to life. We even get to talk to Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Jared Leto. If you're really excited for the future of the DC Cinematic Universe, then definitely it's a great feature to check out. Next up, we got a segment called Gods and Men, A Meeting of Giants. It focuses on Batman, Superman, how their history in the comics, they started out as buddies and they ultimately had conflicts. You get to see Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill, how they were working together, how they trained to get in their amazing physiques. We also get to see how their costumes came to life, like Superman had CGI cape a lot of the time. Batman's armored suit was actually mostly practical, except for some scenes where it was just been too hard for him to move in. I've seen people cosplaying that suit, it's really hard to move in. They also give some context about the Martha scene and how that really brings things together with connecting Batman and Superman and their moms. Next segment is called The Warrior, the Myth, the Wonder. It is about the history of Wonder Woman. It talks to many different people about the history of Wonder Woman, from the creators and their family to the famous writers and artists that worked on Wonder Woman, to talking about the Linda Carter TV show and talking about having her in Batman v Superman live action for the first time, and then finally bringing her own live action movie to the big screen next year. They pretty much talk about how she's a feminist icon and how she's really changed with the times, and just really great. If you love Wonder Woman, she's 75 years old and it's definitely a great segment. Next up, we got Accelerating Design, the new Batmobile. This segment focuses on the new Batmobile and how a team of designers and engineers really made this thing come to life, how they really try to make it real life and how it can really do sharp turns and get fast. It's really cool if you want to know how the Batmobile was made. It's such a cool segment, and you get to see it being test driven and all the different stages, and how they had it mostly practical in the movie, except for some parts that were mostly CGI walls and the boat. Next up, we got Superman Complexity and Truth. This of course focuses on Superman, and it has Henry Cavill talking about all the stunt work, how wearing the costume, his outfit, and how he was really stylish as Clark Kent, especially more on a reporter's salary. But just talking about working on the film, and you get to see some behind the scenes footage of the fight scenes with Batman and Superman. The next segment is all about Ben Affleck and Batman, talks about his new suit and his armored suit, as well as all his cool little gadgets. We also get some cool behind the scenes parts of all the Batman's fights in the movie, so really awesome. We also get another Wonder Woman segment called Grace and Power. It focuses on Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, how she was really excited and how she trained for the role, how they designed her outfit with her shield and her sword. It talks about how her being a dancer really helped her with the fight choreography. Next up, we got Batcave Legacy of the Lair, how they designed a new Batcave, how it was a really practical set, including the computers were all practical. What Ben Affleck saw on the screens of the computers was what the audience saw. The production designer says 98% of the Batcave was practical, only some CGI was used to enhance it, which is really awesome. Next segment is called The Might and the Power of a Punch. This segment focuses on the Batman versus Superman fight. It's pretty much all stats and gives you all scientific facts about the bullets that Batman uses, about his suit, about how Superman, his power her, and so it's really cool if you want to like have little stats and little scientific facts about what would really happen if they were fighting. Next up is The Empire of Luthor. This focuses on Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. They talk about the history of Lex Luthor and how they, even though it seems like people think they changed the character, he really was a scientist and a younger guy with red hair, and he's changed over the years into a CEO power mogul. So they kind of combined the two elements into this movie's Lex Luthor, and they interviewed Jesse Eisenberg. The last segment's called Save the Bats from National Save the Bats Week, how it has Zack Snyder and the cast talking about they're trying to save the bats and how they're really endangered. If you love actual bats like I do, you'll absolutely love it, and it gives you great information what you can do to save the bats. The only thing I wish that this had, it doesn't have a director's commentary and it doesn't have a gag reel. I know this is a more serious movie, but I like to see gag reels even in these type of movies. It would be nice, but hopefully we get one in Suicide Squad. Overall, this edition is ultimate. I'm not just saying this. This definitely gives you tons and tons of value for your money. You are getting 2.5 hours of added stuff and on top of the movie, so this is great. 30 minutes of extra footage for the Ultimate Cut, as well as over 2 hours of featurettes. So I love the featurettes, I love the extended version, I love the movie. If you're a huge fan of Batman v Superman, this is definitely the version again. If you weren't a big fan of the movie, I think this might sway you, and this will help explain things that didn't quite make sense to you in the movie. It really fills in a lot of plot holes. I want to thank Warner Home Video for sending me out this review. You can buy this right now on Amazon as the Warner store. Link is in the description. And for more, check out my website at SeanXLong.com. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, links in the description. I'm Sean Long, or live long and love life. What's more ultimate than seeing the DC Trinity? Oh my god, this is amazing. I really love that Wonder Woman. It's like, Wonder Woman, she's 75 years and I love seeing her in her own solo movie. Next year I love my Wonder Woman.
Like the old man said, together we will you up.
Language!